Today, folks, as we dive into the sector of biotech, I want to introduce you to NanoViricides, trading on the New York Stock Exchange under NNVC with a market cap of under 50 million. NanoViricides is basically a David in a land of Goliaths, yet its flagship drug candidate NV387 is targeting basically a gap that even the biggest players have yet to fill, a broad spectrum antiviral designed to neutralize multiple viruses including RSV, influenza, monkeypox, and now even measles. And if the company's science holds up, NanoViricides could basically carve itself a piece of a global antiviral market projected to hit about 80 billion by 2033, and analysts have a price target on this of around $6.50. Now, we have antibiotics for bacterial infections, but when it comes to viruses, we're still playing catch up. Most antivirals are narrow spectrum, designed to fight one virus at a time, and there's no catch-all solution. Worse, many viruses like RSV, measles, and monkeypox still lack effective treatments altogether. And given the recent pandemic lessons and the rising frequency of viral outbreaks, the need for broad spectrum antivirals is becoming glaringly obvious. And this is kind of where NanoViricides steps in, is we're going to broad view the company. Now, this is part of sponsored content. The company did reach out to me to broad view, as I leave all the disclaimers in the description below. But diving into this, they have broad spectrum NanoViricides that have been created that combine with possibly as many as 90 to 95% of known viruses. It is insane how bold that statement is. The company is developing a broad spectrum NanoViricides to combat several diseases, with NV387 combating RSV, COVID-19, flu, bird flu, and smallpox, monkeypox. They have NVHHV1, which is going to be combating shingles and others in the herpes families. Other NanoViricides to combat other diseases like dengue, rabies, Ebola, and so much more. The versatility basically exploits a feature common in all pathogenic viruses. And if you take a look at their current pipeline, their primary leader here is trying out basically for smallpox, heading into a phase 2 trial here. And in recent news, to kind of get an idea of the milestones for this year, they're basically targeting these key milestones in 2025 with that NV387 advancing that phase 2. And basically the company is planning to accelerate its development pipeline, focusing on Mpox treatment in Central Africa for viral acute respiratory infection and basically a potential pediatric RSV indication. Now, having successfully completed a phase 1A, 1B clinical trial in late 2023, NV387 showed no adverse effects, clearing the way for further clinical development. NanoViricides has now engaged a clinical research organization to oversee the phase 2 trial of Mpox, with trial sites identified in 2 African countries. Beyond Mpox, the company is preparing to launch a phase 2 trial for NV387 in viral acute respiratory infection in basically an area with significant global demand. Additionally, NanoViricides is working toward a pre-investigational new drug filing with basically the FDA for RSV indications, targeting an unmet need in pediatric patients. The company's financials basically remain a focus, with approximately 7.5 million in available funding as of early 2025, sourced from an at-the-market offering for around 3 million and a 3 million credit line. NanoViricides acknowledges the additional capital will be required to sustain operations through 2026 and to fully execute its clinical plan. Another key priority for the year is preparing NV387 as basically a countermeasure against emerging H5N1 bird flu threats. And given the virus's rapid mutation and limitations in current vaccines, NanoViricides sees an opportunity for its broad spectrum antiviral to play a role in basically pandemic preparedness. Now, there's also been research that warns measles could become an epidemic again in the US as vaccination rates fall, but all of this kind of gets discussed, and I want to highlight it from one of the insiders, the CFO, that was recently on Proactive Investor, kind of discussing the company. So just take a quick listen.
Maybe remind everyone a little bit about what the company does, because I think that's important to talk about as well.
Yes, we are developing antiviral therapeutics. A very broad spectrum lead drug is NV387. And basically, we are not a vaccine development company. We are a therapeutic development company. Why? Because viruses mutate away from vaccines. And what our CEO and chief scientist discovered is that regardless of how they mutate, they land on the same receptor site. So we copy the receptor site, which is invariant to mutation. So our lead drug, NV387, is based on heparin sulfate, which is the configuration used by more than 90% of pathogenic viruses. And that's why it's broad spectrum. So it works against the flu, it works against RSV, it works against COVID, it works against even smallpox. And so we're very excited about it because it's a drug that when you go to the doctor, right, and right now when they say you have a viral infection, there's nothing they can give you to treat it. Whereas our drug would be such that regardless of which virus you have, you would get the same drug. And so that's why we feel we are a very unique company and our drug is very unique.
And is that the way HSS is really sort of pushing now with this new administration that's in? They're pushing towards the alternative to vaccines as well.
That's correct. That's the second big thing that's causing turmoil in the marketplace, which is that all these changes in the government staff in Washington D.C. What's the impact on the company? Well, the prior administration was on a completely vaccine-focused strategy to prevent pandemics and to treat viruses. We are very lucky that the current HHS administration is wanting an integrated approach. They understand that viruses mutate away from vaccines and that therapeutics are a critical part of pandemic preparedness. So we are very excited that there's a balanced approach in Washington, and regardless of all the upheaval that you're seeing, it really leads to a balanced view of our drugs and our applications for preventing pandemics in things like measles, bird flu, RSV, COVID, and of course smallpox, which is again, it's a defense. Smallpox has been eradicated in the U.S., but again, it's a bioterrorism potential threat, so there has to be preparedness for it. So we are very excited about the changes in Washington.
So again, I just want to iterate, the global antiviral market was valued at $58.8 billion in 2024 and projected to reach $80 billion by 2030. And the measles vaccine market alone is projected to grow to $4.3 billion by 2032. And other target indications for NV387 with RSV, influenza, monkeypox represent a multi-billion-dollar opportunity on their own. So it's going to be intriguing to see the results that come out of these new trials. And I will pass the question off to you. I'd love to know what you think about all of this in that comment section below.